What do we mean by geometric progressions? So all those numbers which have a common ratio, they are called as geometric progressions. So arrangement of things, we call it as permutations. Then combinations is selection of things. So when you have to select something, so that becomes a combination. So all the 5 units are equally important. So please see that you are thorough with almost all the 5 chapters. Hello everyone, I am Purnima, faculty in the Department of Commerce, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence. Now for the even SEM, I will be handling this subject, that is quantitative techniques for the B.B.A students. Now let us have a look into the syllabus. Now here in the first unit we have the indices. Now what do we mean by indices? Indices is plural of the word index. So we'll go into the meaning later on. Now first let us have a look into what are the contents of this syllabus. Now in the first unit we have the indices, second unit we have the progressions, third unit we have the ratio, proportions and percentages, fourth unit we have the commercial arithmetic, and fifth unit we have the matrices and determinants. Now this quantitative techniques as such, it will give you an insight into the mathematics which will be used by the commerce students. Now let us have a look into the contents of the syllabus. Now the first chapter, that is indices. Now what do we mean by index? So suppose I write 2 to the power 3. Now what does this signify? So this signifies 2 into 2 into 2, that is 6. So here you have here in this slide 4 to the power 5 into 4 to the power 8. So 4 to the power of 8. So here if you can see this is something which you will be learning in this chapter, indices. Suppose I ask you to just add 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So if I tell you to add 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 8 times, so you will have to keep on adding plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 every time. So instead of that, if I tell you, write 2 to the power of 8, so you will have to multiply 2 8 times, then you will get the answer. So we will be having a look into the laws of indices. So what are the laws of indices? So it is a to the power of m into a to the power of n equals a to the power of m plus n. Then a to the power of m by a to the power of n equals a to the power of m minus n. So we will be having a look at the laws of indices and the application for simplification. How do you simplify? So whenever their numbers are given 2 to the power of 8 plus 2 to the power of 9 by 3 to the power of 2 plus 3 to the power of 4. How do you simplify this? So all this we will be learning in this chapter, indices. Next we will be having a look at what is logarithm. So what are logarithms? What are the laws of logarithms and common logarithms we will be studying. Then we will be having the application of logarithm tables for the simplification. So what is the use of the logarithmic tables in our daily life? So all this we will be studying in this first chapter, that is indices. Now the next chapter is related to progressions. Now what is the meaning of sequence and series? Now suppose I write 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Suppose I ask you to just describe this series of numbers. Most of you will tell it is a series of even numbers. Why we say it is a series of even numbers? Because all the numbers are divisible by 2. So any series of numbers which is divisible by 2 are called as a set of even numbers. So this, what is the meaning of sequence and what is the meaning of series, we will be learning. Then also the types of progressions, the arithmetic progression and geometric progression. So what is an arithmetic progression? What is a geometric progression? Suppose I tell you 5 plus 10 plus 15. So this comes, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So this we can call it as a arithmetic progression. So why it is an arithmetic progression? Because the common difference between the two numbers is the same. Suppose I deduct 10 minus 5, I get 5. 15 minus 10, again I am getting 5. 20 minus 15, again I am getting 5. So all these we call it as arithmetic progression. Now what do we mean by geometric progressions? So all those numbers which have a common ratio, they are called as geometric progressions. Then we will also be having a look at the general terms, the sum of n terms of AP and GP, then problems on arithmetic and geometric progressions. So suppose you invest a sum of rupees 100 every year and you increase the money by 100 rupees every year. So what will be the total amount collected at the end of 10 years? So this is a problem based on progression. So you will be having all these calculations in this second unit, that is progressions. Then in the third unit, we will be studying about ratios, proportions and percentages, their applications to business. Now, how do you define a ratio? So, what is their profit sharing ratio? What is the sacrifice ratio? What is the gain ratio? How do you arrive at ratios? How do you add ratios? How do you deduct ratios? How do you multiply ratios? So, all this we will be studying here in this ratio, proportions and percentages. Then along with that, we will be having an introduction to permutations. So what do we mean by permutation? Permutations is an arrangement of items. So arrangement of things, we call it as permutations. Then combinations is selection of things. So when you have to select something, so that becomes a combination. Now, what do you mean by factorial notations? Business applications and problems on permutations and combinations. A very interesting chapter. So you will all be learning about this in ratio, proportions and percentages, that is in the third unit of the syllabus. Now, the next unit comprises of commercial arithmetic. Now, what do we mean by commercial arithmetic? So, in this we will be studying about simple interest and compound interest. So, what do we mean by simple interest? Most of you are familiar with the formula PTR by 100. Now, what is this PTR by 100? Principal into time into rate of interest divided by 100, we get the simple interest. Now, what is the formula for compound interest? Again, we have a formula here. Then, bills discounting concepts. Now, what do we mean by the bills discounting? Then, what is the banker's discount? True discount, banker's gain, present value of bill. So, all these concepts we will be learning in commercial arithmetic. So, you should know how to calculate the rate of interest. So, you have taken a loan from the bank. Then, how do you calculate the rate of interest? What is the interest you are paying to the bank and how it is helping you? So, how it is having a bearing on your profits? So, all these things we will be learning in this chapter, that is commercial arithmetic. Then the next chapter deals with matrices and determinants. So one of the most favorite chapter of the students is matrices and determinants. Now what do we mean by a matrix? So matrix is an orderly arrangement of numbers. So it may be, so you can see here A, B, C, D. So this is an orderly arrangement of numbers. So it will be usually between two brackets denominated by a alphabet, and where you will have the order here written beside it. So 2 by 2. So this is the order of the matrix. Then what is the meaning, definition, types of matrix, matrix operations and properties. Now what is the matrix operations you will be having here? Addition, subtraction, multiplication of matrix, and also what are the properties of the matrix. Then next we will be having a look at what are the determinants. So what is the determinant of a square? Then also we will be having linear equations by using Cramer's rule. So all this will comprise in the unit 4. Next, let us have a look into the internal positions. Now, in the internal assessment, it carries 20 marks. For the first internals, you will be having the first 2 chapters, that is indices and progressions. Then for the internals 2, we will have commercial arithmetic and ratio, proportion and percentages. And for internals 3, we will have matrices and determinants. So final marks will be awarded on the average of these 3 internals. So if you write all the 3 internals, so we will take an average and we will award you with the final marks. Then next, let us see the question paper pattern. So in the question paper pattern, if you can see here, so you will have 20 marks 2 questions, that comes to 40, 10 marks 2 questions comes to 40, 5 marks 4 questions, that comes to 20. So total is 80 marks. Now out of this 20 marks, so you may be asked 10 marks 2 questions or 5 marks 4 questions. So depending on the type of question being asked, so this will change. So entire 20 marks will not be one single question. It may be divided into 5 marks 4 questions or 10 marks 2 questions. So in the same way here also, in this 10 marks question also, so there will be a division of 5 marks 2 questions or 10 marks one single question. So you have to be prepared here, and especially in this last session, this part C, they may ask you any theory based question. So what do you mean by banker's discount, or what is true discount? So they may be asked any definition which you should be able to answer. So the total is 80 marks. So you will have 3 hours to write for 80 marks in the final exam. Then next, what are the books for reference? So you can have these 2 books, that is Sanchetti and V.K. Kapoor, and Commercial Arithmetic, Iyer and Barry. Then next, we'll have a look at the chapter-wise marks allotment. So under Unit 1, you will have almost from 30 marks. From Unit 2, you will get 20 marks from Unit 2. For 35 marks, you get from Unit 3. Again 35 marks from Unit 4. And again 30 marks from Unit 5. So all the 5 units are equally important. So please see that you are thorough with almost all the 5 chapters. So if you are thorough with all the 5 chapters, then I can assure you that you will get 100 out of 100. So a high scoring subject, if you just understand the concept a little bit, you will be able to just fly through this subject. So this is a very, very easy subject. Most of you feel that maths is a very tough subject, but no, if you know what is the concept of maths and how do you go about it, then it is one of the most easiest subject and the most fun-loving subject. Next. So what is the learning outcome of this quantitative techniques? So the first one is understand the relevance and need of quantitative methods for making business decisions. So once you understand what do you mean by quantitative techniques, you should be able to use these quantitative methods for making business decisions. Then next one is be able to apply quantitative methods to solve variety of business problems. So you should be able to know what is the method you should apply when you are confronted with the business problem. Then formulation and application of mathematical models in business decision making scenario. So all these, whatever you are learning in this quantitative techniques, so it will help in your business decisions. How do you take business decisions? Whether it is the SWOT analysis or the CPT or the PERT method. So we have various methods of coming to a decision. So all these things will help in your business decision making. Hope you will cooperate with me and we can have a very nice session on this quantitative techniques. Thank you.